Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we're going over the changes and strategies needed for the Master Totems challenge, The Grass is Always Greener. The challenge itself is the same as the normal version. You cannot have the same aura from the same side without getting the other aura, or in other words, everyone needs to change sides every time they come to the middle. For Master, the main change is that every time the unstoppable ogres would normally spawn in middle on normal mode, which happens about every third of the encounter, there will additionally be an unstoppable that spawns on the left and right sides about halfway between the original brand spawn and the totem itself. All three of these unstoppables will spawn at the same time and need to be dealt with quickly, otherwise they can easily wreak havoc and also mess up the timing on the aura passing. Wall of Radiances placed on either side's totems will be incredibly helpful towards not only surviving, but also helping your next teammate survive as well. The biggest key though is no matter what super you're using, make sure to actually use it very actively so that your whole team can orb chain and continue to get more and more supers throughout the encounter. Phoenix Protocol and Orpheus rigs will allow for even more supers, while hot swapping to Aeons or just having a few dedicated Aeon users to finisher the Brand Claimer Knights will make sure that your team has plenty of heavy ammo, which you will definitely want to actively use. My personal recommendation is Xenophage for heavy, as it has a ton of flexibility for killing the wizards, all of the knights, as well as the unstoppables easily. But make sure that no matter the heavy that you use, you should be using your heavy on all of these targets to make sure that they die quickly. The other huge benefit of Xenophage specifically this season is being able to run both Machine Gun Scavenger and Machine Gun Holster for a total of 2 mod energy, so they are really easy to fit in. This will allow you to get even more ammo from all ammo drops, including the drops made from Aeons, and will also slowly reload your Xenophage whenever it's holstered, so if you don't have a chance to actively reload it, this can definitely come in clutch. Gjallarhorn is another strong option, especially for the unstoppables, but it can be easy to kill yourself with, especially if being pushed on the totems, and isn't as easy to set up finishers as Xenophage is when trying to make heavy on your Brand Claimer Knights. Having 1 or maybe 2 players that are comfortable on Galley is nice for its ability to add clear in a wider radius though. Forbearance is absolutely top tier for add clear as well, and I'd recommend running one with Chain Reaction if you have it. A Reservoir Burst fusion rifle can be a reasonable secondary option as well. And of course, make sure that everyone on the team is running Unstoppable. You absolutely do not want anyone to be in a position to not be able to stun one. Now let's go over 4 important tips. First, I'd recommend rotating quickly, or in other words, don't wait for timers on the aura to be low before grabbing and rotating. It's much better to keep the rotations consistent than to try to absolutely maximize the Death Singer's power one player can get. Second, and this may sound a bit of the opposite of what I just said, but don't rotate too quickly when the unstoppables spawn. Taking the time to help your teammate to insta-melt the unstoppable on each side is the #1 difference between a clean run and a run that completely falls apart. There are 3 unstoppables and 6 guardians, so there should be 2 players on every unstoppable every time they spawn. Third, make sure to not stun the unstoppables until they are done with their jump animation, otherwise the stun will often break. And once the unstoppable is stunned, both players should immediately melt the unstoppable with heavy. Do not try to conserve ammo, as that can once again lead to the encounter falling apart quickly, and with Aeons being used on the knights in middle, you should have more than enough heavy. An additional bonus tip is don't be afraid to leave the totem to meet your teammate halfway to make sure that aura gets passed quickly enough. Sometimes the timer might get a little bit low, and meeting just a couple steps off of the totem can mean the difference between dying and not, which is a huge difference. And finally, if someone dies with the brand, don't forget that it will spawn on the plate where it originally starts at. Also keep in mind that if someone dies on the way to stealing the brand, they will still need to come back to that same side if they never actually held the brand. The challenge requires that each individual person does not hold the brand from the same side without holding it on the other side, so keep this in mind in order to save runs that may start going a bit off the rails. This challenge on Master was one of, if not the toughest ones the first time it came around, but I hope these tips help make it just a bit easier. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.